attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome to the CIECAst. We thank you for joining us today. We have a great program, Recycled Parts and Inventory 2014 style. Today's presenter is Ginny Whelan. Ginny is a longtime automotive recycle industry leader. She was the first woman president of the Automotive Recyclers Association and is an international educator. She is also current executive director of the ARA Educational Foundation. Ginny is the founder and president of the ARA University. Ginny is a business consultant. She's the first liaison from ARA to CIECA. She's a member of the CIECA Education Committee and chair of the CIECA Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee. Please join me in welcoming Ginny Whelan. Thank you, Ginny.
Thank you very much, Fred. It's quite a mouthful. I really want to welcome you all and take you through the steps of the many different activities of the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee. So I'll ask Fred if you want to go to the next slide and we'll get right into it. Just a background, the ARA, for those that aren't familiar, or the Automotive Recyclers Association, founded in 1943. We're in our 71st year and as an international trade association and with a membership that's worldwide. We are looking forward to our 71st Convention and Expo, which will take place in October 22nd to the 25th in Nashville. So if you want to really get deep into our industry, I'd really encourage you to check out that convention. Next slide, please, Rick. Fred, the next slide, please. Thank you. CIECA and ARA have a shared mission that we have been working on, and I believe we're now entering into our fourth year of a long-term relationship, and it's about making connections electronically and business connections. And it was the effort of reaching out to CIECA to really step forward with many of the activities of the ARA Electronic Commerce Committee when it came to a platform for building connection. Next slide, please, Fred. Just to show you our positioning and CIECA's industry vision and collaboration, those that have worked with CIECA are familiar. We are in great company and privileged to be part of that collaboration. Next slide, please. CIECA mission, as many may be aware of, but is powered by its members, and CIECA's connection connects your companies to resources that drive innovation and market growth, create new opportunities for collaboration, and foster development and adaptation of critical industry standards. We call CIECA the mother. Why do we do this? Well, you know, we've got this shared mission, and it's really, and I'm going to repeat one word, and you'll hear it over and over again here, is leverage. Leverage in expertise, leverage to develop standards, leverage in implementation tools, leverage in business implementations, increased recycled parts sales. I should have put that in bold because that is the focus of our industry and our members. More efficient processes and reduce risk together. Next slide. The Recycled Parts ARA partnership is ARA stepped boldly forward and assigned a liaison myself in that position, which means that my defined role is to fully engage in the activities of CIECA when it comes to recycled parts. We have a blend of products and standards, the ARA codes into the CIECA messages. Now this has been, we, as I said, have been developing codes and standards for our industry on our side, but pretty much we would say that they were there for the taking, but very few were aware of them. So our stepping forward in this partnership has allowed for these messages to be integrated into CIECA messages and therefore readily available to their business partner members. Recycled parts specifically is the focus, and for those that are not familiar with the industry, recycled parts are products or parts that are retrieved from salvage or end-of-life vehicles, as we reference them, that have a usable life to them and are then removed, inventoried, and brought back into the marketplace in demand for repair both in the mechanical area and in the collision area. We work on messages. We have worked on an implementation guides and business cases, and the words establish a solid relationship is that we have probably both sides have benefited immensely from our relationship. Next slide, please. What benefits? Well, there's the standard that the integration provides. It reduces requirement efforts. It's easier to implement. It improves the delivery time over customer solution. It's most cost effective, provides a foundation to share data, and provides an extendable infrastructure for future integration needs. These 6 boxes really define, make it sound so simple, but having these in place just steps the recycled product into the marketplace and gaps a lot of the bridges that were there when we fully got our inventory was fully exposed electronically. So these are the reasons we move. Our product that we had in place and have standardized units of damaged card. We have standard codes and brochure that we created together. We have a standard of defining parts, codes that are unique to our industry that really we call it our language that speak to many things. We have standards from color all the way to grading standards, and we had a current effort that we have been able to complete with our work through CIECA in defining the recycled parts package. And this is what is included in a part and what may not be included. Our parts, unlike the OE new, which may be just a consistent 1 unit of a part, ours often can come as a full assembly. For example, the front of a vehicle. We would sell that if it's undamaged, and that would encompass the hood, the nose, the fenders. And letting our customers electronically know what's coming with that is critical to increasing sales. Next slide, please. This is an example of the combined brochure that we put together with CIECA, and this really inside has the standards, the codes, and provides some guidance to understanding our product. Next slide, please. We reference the damage and damage codes. What you're looking at here is really an engineering grid that was designed for us, and it defines each part and assigns it a numerical number. And what it has allowed for us to do is actually make the customer aware if there is damage in a particular part, where it is, and then the next step we also assign codes to it. You'll see damage type codes in the green box down below there, which reference things like if it has a crease, and we went 1 step beyond that in actually developing a grading system using this grid. So often these codes are used in line with our management systems, and this helps us to communicate and make the consumers aware of the product's condition. Next slide, please. Challenges, my favorite word. There are always challenges, and we're bridging and defining the standards for defining a part. As I indicated, ours as a recycled part, often it has conditions, so we have a challenge of the documentation to accomplish that. Challenge to make it an electronic standard. When we first started down the step as recyclers, myself, we had an inventory that was based on a card index format back in the Stone Age. We then stepped it forward to some degree of sophistication. And in the late 80s, we were becoming fully computerized, and by the late 90s, we were delivering our inventory across third-party platforms electronically. All through that, the standard that we have maintained within the ARA industry has always been a kind of an option-only format. Some recyclers used it efficiently, some others did not, and it was always in a paper text format, so getting it electronic was huge. Integrating it in CIECA messages, was really the boldest step that we could take, and we were glad to be able to partner with CIECA, because here we were able to step our communication level into a new arena and build for the standards that CIECA experts had already had in place from committees like their procurement committee. So it was a huge event for us to be able to do that. The next thing was stepping and defining recycled parts as assemblies, as I indicated in the earlier slide. To include an assembly and what is not included, this is a big advantage for using a recycled part, and so we wanted to make the consumers fully aware of that. Next slide, please. They're going to see more challenges. This is another list, is that, the code lists, integrating code lists with CIECA. As we on the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee stepped into the world of CIECA, there were code lists that were provided and generated by other sources, mainly OE and what we would at that time call aftermarket, now alternative parts, codes that were also linked to insurance carriers. So this integration of what we considered our code lists help us expand and develop both sides. So we shared, development of new. We also set up tables, and this really legitimized the recycled part in the world of CIECA as CIECA members, and that was really important. So we have a standardized electronic presentation of all parts. This includes like sheet metal parts and mechanical parts, and of assemblies. Next slide, please. As we bring our partnership together, and we've referenced this before, it's the blend of products and standards, the ARA codes into CIECA, and also that we have completed certain aspects of that, specific messages, and I'm going to kind of dig down into that. So I'm going to go deeper than I usually do as a recycler, because mine is the focus on the business side, but Charlie Cook has made me into an on-site expert. So I thank Charlie. We've implemented guides and business cases and established a solid relationship. Next slide, please. This is an example on the screen right now of our software. We took a non-digital document that was massive, and the work of the ARA Electronic Commerce Committee that tried to keep the parts definitions and keep up with the parts as they were entered into inventory. Particularly as every new model came out, we were then required by make to get these parts in there. So we were able to step in a new way with some business consultant help to set up a electronic platform. So we have a software based, and you're looking at the screen where recycled part definition. In our industry, we have multiple sources that define a recycled part. And so on the screen you're seeing that we have the selection, the vehicle selection, the sub-selection. We have the part type name. Our language for interchange is driven by Hollander, a Solera company, so we use those. Some also are able to use a platform, Car-Part, so that's also in the marketplace. Next slide, please. I'm going to break down, if you click, you can see that when we get into the vehicle sections, this is what we define as a section. So I just wanted to give you an example. So it's brake systems. And then we went to the next slide, which really goes, if we clicked onto the AC condenser, it provides an image, a generic image. It talks about the section, the vehicle section, which is heating and air conditioning system. Subsection is what we call the AC system, and then there's a line that defines actually the Hollander ID or Hollander code number, and then we go across. We have CIECA codes, and we also have the ARA codes implemented. You'll see the line that says here, included components. So here we are telling the customer, because that's the big question, and there was no standard for this. What is the standard to be included? And these categories of inclusion and exclusion were reviewed and established by automotive recyclers, business individuals who gave a lot of time to step through each of these. So here we're saying with the condenser, what you should anticipate is that get the brackets, the tubing that is permanently affixed to the condenser. What you won't get are switches, the valves, the dryer, the filter, the cooling motors. So we try to explain clearly what is coming with the recycled part. Always at the discretion of the automotive recycler business person who decides what to come in, but this is the minimum of inclusion in the parts, so it sets a standard. And then we put comments in that recyclers have felt were important to educate, and I should say that it's not just education of the consumer, it's education of those individuals who are in the business of employees, managers, so that inventory specialists that we have on staff, so that they're all on the same page when we're developing this electronically. Next slide, please, Fred. Okay. I feel like this is an open-ended question, and Fred will unmute himself, but what does CIECA do? They do many things, but enabling computer system to communicate electronically, define the business exchanges and define the data needs, create and support one. And notice that we put one in capitals, and you'll see it repeated. This is rather, as I indicated, we come together with different electronic platforms and also just individual inventory entry to get it into a supported system that guides us to one is really the only alternative for growing the recycled parts in business. Standard messages, one way to represent the data exchange. Next slide, please, Fred. Okay. ARA and CIECA challenges, this is the combined, because obviously we stepped over and said, you know, this is what we have, and CIECA said, well, this is what we do. And this is the challenges that we found, which was enabling procurement messages. Recycled parts information, as I indicated in the past two slides, is more comprehensive than just a single part number. What's needed to be included in all the messages, what's unique or specific to recycled parts in all procurement implementation guides, and it's the coordination to include ARA standards in CIECA messages. Again, I keep repeating about the ARA standards, but this is really important for the whole industry to have established standards and now to have standards in the CIECA messages so that third parties and others who are using CIECA as their platform for building products can address recycled parts. And of course, create and support one implementation guide for each standard message and one way to represent the data exchange. Next slide, please, Fred. More challenges, procurement messages, recycled part information, specific parts implementation guide, and also ARA standards and messages. We view these as challenges as a good thing. We view these as challenges in that there are places for all of these to be incorporated in the CIECA platform, and the challenge is how do we deliver and how is the recycled part brought to all of these standards. Next slide, please. We got accomplishments, and now this is when I dig deeper, because sometimes for those who are on the call who serve on committees of CIECA, it's a commitment. It's some of the committees, most of the committees meet weekly, and there's often, we're so down in the trenches we don't get to step back and look at the accomplishments. So to date, recycled parts and the recycled parts, CIECA's Recycled Parts Committee have completed the life cycle from request for the quote to the statement payment, credit memos included, all parts procurement messaging, messages, message contents and standards, standard codes, implementation guides, and specific business cases. So these are our accomplishments. And I think next slide, please. More. So we couldn't put it all on one slide. This is amazing to me. We've also, in the message area to date, have procurement-based messages, repair facility request for quote, So what is taking place on the Recycled Parts and Inventory Committee? There is a mixture here of business individuals, so there are recyclers, and those companies that provide whether it's information providers or other utilizations of CIECA and recycled parts are on the committees. And so this is how we build this, and so we on the business side, we recyclers who come on this committee are first are like deer in a headlight, because we think, you know, we are not tech savvy. We are selling a recycled part. But what we realize we do know is that we have to recreate electronically every step that we do in a paper world. So these are the things we do. And so from the aspect of broker to broker request for a quote, quote to the broker to the parts provider, quote from parts provider to the repair facility, and quote from the parts provider to the broker. All of these are the messages, and all of these are our steps. So we are able to accomplish getting these into electronic format through CIECA. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Fred. Okay, it's time for me to take a drink of water then, I think. Okay. We have accomplished, again, another slide, which is more messages, and I said I was taking you deep, so I think this is fair so you understand. And if you're interested in how to utilize and bring the recycled parts inventories and messaging into your business platform, CIECA has the ways. Procurement-based messages, we have requests for hold response, we have the purchase order itself electronically, purchase order confirmation, shipping notice, we have the shipping notice change or cancellation, and we have a shipping confirmation of receipt. All of these, as I indicated, are messages that have been created through CIECA. The next slide, please. I'm not seeing the next slide. Thank you. More accomplishments. We have procurement-based messages. The invoice, return authorization request, return authorization number sent, the return. We don't get many of them, but we had to make a message. Credit notification sent and refund, release hold, and part number no longer available. And again, all these, we continue. We have more accomplishments. Procurement inventory request status of my procurement request, procurement notification status, and here is the procurement RO I have on the slide is the repair order folder status, procurement status, inquiry request status of multiple repair order procurement folders. All again, you know, from the language of electronic messaging, these are the messages. From the actual, this is what we're doing. From the point of actually securing a request for a part and a part linked to a repair, and then all of the steps that go through, and then it may be multiple parts. Next slide, please. Thank you. We have the procurement invoice, the credit memo, excuse me, received, the RA received on it, and we have the inquiry request. We have one or multiple invoices or credit memos. We have a date range. We have the RO folder. We have the invoice numbers, and we have the return authorization numbers. This is the procurement invoice, credit, and RA memos, and the status message. So these are all the messages that we have worked on and are created with regards to recycled parts through CIECA. Next slide, please. We have the financial part, and that we had to build messages for financial messages sent in batches by repair order, statement message, adjustments and discounts, amounts due. We have the remittance message and the amounts paid and amounts disputed. All these done manually by paper are now electronic messages through CIECA. We have recycled information aggregates. As I mentioned earlier, we have the grade codes electronically now. We have the damage code information, which includes damage location, description and code, damage type code, and damage units. We have condition memos and source of vehicle information. When we reference source of vehicle information, we track our parts back to the vehicle. The vehicle identification we most frequently use is what we call the vehicle identification number, or the VIN. We have parts vendor certificates, certifications, excuse me, and certification type codes. On the ARA side, we have a certification program called Gold Seal, and so we have the capability now to electronically indicate that, and there are other certification programs pertaining to recycled parts from various groups or vendors. So we can show those certifications. Required or preferred certifications, we have an indicator, and we have the ability to show certification number. Next slide, please. We have the hold to request to response messages, the date, the start date, the expiration date, the hold confirmation, the hold rejection and reasons. The ARA recycle guide and indicator and version. So that software that you saw that we created is integrated back into the CIECA messages. Missing parts and additional parts, all again on delivery of a recycled part. We have recycled parts and inventory documents that are updated, 2014, the charter, the business plan, the workflow, the implementation guide, and the implementation guide index C with the business cases. I say this with such ease, but this is a huge, huge resource of information available through CIECA, through their website to members and those that request. So we have continued development of inventory messages. We have the new ARA developed codes in CIECA. Messages and ARA tools are ongoing. Blending of electronic commerce products into one electronic commerce product for the industry. We continue to co-development of ARA and CIECA one standard visions. I had accomplished and completed a lot of all of this that I indicated. These are what we're now currently working on. We reconvened the committee just recently to take a look at building standards that pertain to inventory and inventory records. So this is a new step for us. Next slide, please, Fred. And I will turn this over back to Fred, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about recycled parts and inventory in the committee work.
Well, thank you, Ginny, for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. As Ginny indicated, the partnership between ARA and CIECA has been a huge success, and we're looking for the success in this partnership to go on for many years into the future. I want to let you know that there are 2 CIECAs remaining for this year. The next one will be in October, which will be the new what's new in the CIECA committees. Also in November, we as we do twice a year, discuss what is new in the BMS release package. So we will be able to see that in November. Look to the website for the exact dates, and please register. Want to talk about and also remind you of our symposium. This is September 8th through the 10th in Denver. Get to the fun part. They're Monday night. We have happy hour from 6 to 8. There's a gala reception on Tuesday night. We do have, as we typically do, have business and technical tracks. We've got 3 this year on JSON, the mobile computing, JSON, the JavaScript object notation. We have 2 technical ones and a business one. Again, also some from recycled parts, and we've got a very good couple of panel discussions, one on electronic parts procurement and the other on the MSO's view of the CIECA standards. So the conference is an excellent networking opportunity for everyone. So take a look, and we'll see you go. I want to thank everybody again for attending, for joining us, and to Ginny Whelan for sharing her expertise. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye now.